Cool. Yeah, a few people from Singapore already. That's our home turf, so it's not surprising. Morning to everyone who's joining now. Oh, someone from the Philippines. Hi. Hello. Yeah, I think I know the latest person in the chat. I heard of him. Hi everyone.
As more people is joining, we have more than 300 over sign up, so it's going to be a great session. We're going to share a lot of interesting insights that we have identified since Q2 this year. We're going to share with everyone.
Hey Sydney, good afternoon. Hi everyone from Indonesia, hello. Okay, maybe one more minute. I see that a few more people coming in, then we'll get started. Yeah, I see someone asking if we are in the office. We'll share that in a second.
Yeah, and maybe just a quick test, right? Can everyone of you see the screen? And if you are hearing us clearly, let us know as well.
All right, cool. I think we can get started. So, hi everyone. Thanks a lot for joining today for this webinar. Today it will be myself, Max. I'm the customer program manager at Social Bakers based in Singapore, and with me today.
Yeah, so my name is Gabriel. I'm the pre-sales solution consultant for Social Bakers in the JPAC region.
And someone asked in the chat before if we were in the office. We're actually having a house party from Gabriel's place in Singapore. We live quite close to each other, and in this context where colleagues don't see each other except on Zoom call, we figured we might as well do that.
It's a new normal, right?
Yeah, we might as well do that together today. Cool. So before I get to that, if you have questions, we try to save some time at the end for a Q&A. There is a Q&A box below at the bottom of your screen, so feel free to drop the questions here. We also have someone in the background to try and help answer some of the questions while we're going through with the presentation, but otherwise we'll take as much questions as we can towards the end of the presentation. In the meantime, if you want to use the chat to chat with the other attendees, feel free to do so in the chat section. All right, let's get started. So what do we have in store for you today? We going to start with a very short introduction to Social Bakers, who we are, what we do. Some of you on the call might not know who we are, so we'll share that with you. And then we'll start diving into some of the trends that we've seen this year. So we'll start by looking at paid. There's been a lot of conversation around paid in 2020, so Gabriel will look into that. But organic also making a comeback. So then I'll take you through some of the trends that we're seeing on the major platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, we'll talk a little bit on TikTok, since everyone is talking about it these days. Gabriel will then take you through some of the trends that we're seeing for community management and community engagement, and I'll touch on a new trend that everyone probably familiar with, podcasts. And then, like I said, we'll try to save some time at the end for Q&A. So, Social Bakers, who we are. We are a global SaaS company. We have a presence in over 14 we have 14 offices across all of the continents, and we actually have 500 employees worldwide, and our base for Asia is Singapore, from which we are calling you today. What does Social Bakers do? We are a unified marketing suite powered by AI. Basically, what we do with our clients, we help them drive growth and improve every aspect of their social media marketing strategy. We start with identifying some insights around their audiences, helping them finding influencers, moving to content strategy, helping them with content intelligence insights. We of course help them to manage that content, create content, schedule content, publish content, all through our platform. Then we help them monitor and track the performance of all of their campaigns, their channels, and all of their profile, all aggregated from a single solution, as well as helping them answer any incoming queries from their users and their consumers through our community management interface. And you usually represent it through that cycle, because it's not about doing one thing, it's about doing all of this part of their strategy. I just wanted to share a few more numbers about Social Bakers. So We have nearly 3,000 clients now worldwide in every type of vertical and industry. We are older than the like button on Facebook, meaning that we have been collecting and analyzing data since 2008. We have like millions of pieces of contents, thousands of ads data, and we use all of that data to consult our clients and also to create some of the amazing insights that you're going to see throughout this presentation today, and that Gabriel will start now sharing with you. So Gabriel, the first thing that we want to look into is really about the trends on paid data, and especially paid on social media. We've seen a lot of drama in the beginning of the year. So like we see a lot of brands pulling out of Facebook advertising, whether for like budget reason or for like for the Blackout Tuesday for ethical reasons. So what can you share with us on that?
Sure, definitely. I think, yes, you're right. There's a lot has been happening on the paid side, right? So let's take a look at some of the data trends so that we get some clarity, as well as to look into what potentially might happen in the next few months, right, in regards to paid, right? Sorry. So you can see here, first, let's take a look at the overall spend by all the different regions around the world on Facebook and Instagram in the past 12 months. You can see here the data over 12 months. It's interesting to note that actually in April, indeed, we saw a significant dip in terms of spend across all the different regions. I guess that by no surprise, we know that that's during the time where the whole world went into a shutdown. Everything kind of come to a standstill. I think that's also the moment where a lot of people are questioning, a lot of brands are panicking, marketers are panicking and understanding what could potentially happen. But since then, if you look into the data here, in the last few months, like May, June, and July, in fact, the spend have actually came back to normally. So we can see that actually the spend has rebounded back to what it is before the COVID time. And interesting to note, specifically in the case of the spend for Asia Pacific itself is observes similar trend. But for East Asia, you can see that actually it remains very stable and across the whole period of time. And let's look back a little bit, right? If we look into Q4 of last year, that's where every brands are starting to spend big on Facebook advertising. And again, not by surprise, it's the December holiday period. A lot of campaigns are running on. So as we approach, September and going into the Q4 of the year, I'm sure there's a lot of campaigns would also come back again. So it will be interesting to see, if this year will actually surpass last year's spend itself. At this point, maybe I also would like to take a quick, poll with every one of you guys in regards to looking at the rest of the year. What do you guys think in terms of the changes that you would expect in terms of ad spend by brands, since you guys work very closely with brands?
Yeah, we're gonna do a few of those because we also want to hear from all of you, right? You're working with brands across like agencies, etc. So we also want to see what's your opinion on it. So if you can take a sec to reply to the poll on your screen now, I'll do it myself as well, and then we're gonna look at the results in a few seconds, right? Would be interesting also to know, since you probably work for different brands across different industry or different vertical, to let us know like which industry more specifically you think are gonna increase their spend for the rest of the year. Maybe you can drop that in the chat as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you guys think as well. If you are working closely with a certain industry, you see that the industry is growing in spend. I think that would be something interesting that we can look into as well, because we want to look at the multiple discipline of the data itself, right? From different angle to really identify where is the opportunities.
Yeah, so maybe we can have a look at the results now.
Some are saying gaming, right?
Yeah, okay. That's pretty much where we are seeing this going as well. So the result for the poll, mostly an increase in spend. Some of the respondents say decrease as well. Interesting.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think it's encouraging as well. You can see that how quickly it recovers in the earlier chart, right? And I'm personally actually very excited about the potential that is going forward in the next few months ahead of the year. And let's take a look at internally, based on the data that we see in regards to the breakdown of spend by different industry across the board, right? You can see that similarly, the similar trend is observed. Everyone has a dip in April itself. Specifically, I want to highlight is actually on the e-commerce and the beauty industry. who has been the biggest spender on Facebook and Instagram ads, by no surprise, because they're very active on this platform. But they do have a significant dip as well. But you can see for e-commerce itself, the orange line, it has significantly rebounded from the low in April. In fact, the amount of spend has surpassed what it actually happens during the last quarter of 2019. So it really surprised me and see that if this would be the industry that actually have a bigger breakthrough throughout the rest of the year. And looking at the trend as well, of course, not every industry is a big spender, right? I guess in this case, accommodations is actually traditionally, right, you can see their spend has always been below the rest of the different industry. So if that's the case, right, so what are some of the things that you guys as an agency were working with the accommodation industry, which is pretty hard hit by the current pandemic? What would be some of the strategy that you can adopt in that sense? So looking at spend, we are expecting spend to rebound, we are expecting spend to be increased. So how can you guys be smartly helping your clients to allocate this budget across social and then to bring significant results, right? And then of course, conversion specifically, I think if you're talking about e-commerce. Let's take a look at the global CPC trend here. So once again, we see a dip in April, but that's not the key, right? But what I want to say is that actually CPC rebounded very quickly as well, and increased by 55% in July itself, which is just last month. And we have known for the last many years, every quarter, Facebook actually released their results and they have increased in their profitability over the quarter every year, right? And of course, this is supported by the increase in the CPC over the years that we have been always sharing this trend. But one thing marketers is asking, will the dip in April actually stays? But you can see obviously here, there's a rebound back, so it's very quickly, and this is by supply and demand. So when the demand actually comes back, right, we have no surprise to see that actually the cost actually increased back again. But interestingly, again, like I mentioned, East Asia, they didn't cut their budget during the April period, and their CPC actually remains very stable throughout as well. While the rest of the other markets actually did see a dip in CPC in April. And more importantly, right, I guess, is to understand where you're going to spend this money for your clients in terms of ads placement and of course in terms of spend on the different platforms, right? We have seen a lot of buzz around Instagram, and brands are jumping onto Instagram. But if you look at the chart here, right, where we are comparing Q2 2020 with Q2 2019 last year, indeed, one trend that we saw is that there's a decrease in the cost to advertise on these platforms and the different media or the channel placement. But overall, Instagram is almost 3 to 4 times more expensive than Facebook if you are hoping to achieve conversion through click-through rates, right? So if you have the budget, how will you park this budget across these two different platforms? With the same budget, of course, you're going to get a lot more from Facebook. But one thing to note as well, from the extreme right of the chart, right, there's only one placement that actually has an increase this year compared to last year, which is in-stream video on Facebook itself. And specifically for Q2, I guess I was looking at this data, I was thinking about it, what could potentially be the reason. One of the reasons I can think of is that during this pandemic period, a lot of us is locked down at home, we watch a lot more videos. So I guess it makes sense that advertisers want to take advantage of these situations to insert your advertising videos within some of these video content on newsfeed. Hence, I guess that demand leads to the increase in terms of costs. So we're looking into quite a fair bit of these data points around ads and really helping you guys to understand what potentially would happen in the next few months and how you can smartly allocate the budget of your clients or for brands. How about organic? Do we see organic still having a place in this game where we see the rebound of the advertising? So it would be good to take a poll now as well to really help us understand from your perspective, are you going to recommend your brands that you work with, right, to relook into their organic strategy and have a more diversified kind of strategy? Max, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's something we've seen with brands late last year, early this year as well, like really looking again at their organic strategy, and brands asking us to help them understand what kind of content really work the best so they can capitalize and maximize their organic engagement, create relevant content for their audience, create engaging content, and really focus on those. So conversation around content intelligence and trying to understand what works best for that audience specifically is really something that brands have been asking more. So yeah, not to influence the audience, but my answer, yes, definitely need to find a balance between paid and organic on social.
Yeah, I will be really interested to find out, what do you guys think about organic strategy, right? Would you be actually be recommending this going forward to your clients in the next few months?
Okay, maybe let's have a look at the results. That's
here we go.
Okay.
84% of you guys say that you need to find a balance.
Okay, to be honest, I was expecting more answers to maybe I influenced the result, but
yep.
I was expecting more of a pay to play, because that's historically something we've been hearing from brands, like they're telling us like,
yeah.
I only need, if I want my content out there, I only need to pay, right? But it's good to see that this mindset is shifting.
It's shifting a little bit. It's interesting. I want to also take a moment to talk about this poll result, right? And I'm glad that you guys are looking into that, because next I'm going to share some interesting, data around organic that will actually bring your interest of how you can reintroduce this to brands and help them to understand the importance of having a balanced strategy. So let's take a look at the next slide. Here we go. So yes, you're right. Actually, in our observations in the past months, organic really did make a comeback during the March and April, or even into the early May period, right? If you look at this chart here, two things which I would like to highlight. First of all, you can see that Instagram definitely have a higher presence of organic play for brands. So of course, if you were to really tap into Instagram, definitely this is an area that you need to strengthen your organic game. But more importantly, for Facebook, which a lot of marketers have told me that Facebook organic is dead, which I have been trying to educate, and I'm trying to share my perspective based on data that I see that actually isn't. The reason why organic doesn't really exist, is because you have killed your organic by advertising. The moment you put your money behind a piece of content, or you drive an ads, right? Of course, the newsfeed will be filled with all these paid ads, and of course, the visibility of organic will drop. But I really like this chart and this data point, because this whole pandemic situations where we see a reduce in ad spend, we're able to validate that actually organic did make a comeback, right? And you can see that there's a spike of the organic presence in Facebook itself. So in this case, when you kill your ads, organic returns. And I think this is making sense, right? Given the situations we have seen, how volatile the current economic situation is. There could be changes very quickly, like a dip in spend or a cut in budget by brands. So how can we help brands to actually still maintain the kind of visibility on Facebook or Instagram? You have to break that up with organic. So I guess you guys will be curious, right? What are the ways we can try to drive organic? And of course, I guess no other people other than Max who have worked with a lot of brands who will be able to share some information, specifically maybe around platforms.
Yeah, so thanks, Gab. So we then wanted to look into engagement, and specifically organic engagement across the main platform. So initially, we usually look at Facebook versus Instagram, but this time around, we felt that we had to talk a little bit about TikTok, because not a day goes by without people asking me about TikTok. So let's start with the two main platforms that brands are still leveraging for their strategy, which is Facebook and Instagram. So we broke down, that's basically the bubbles that you can see on the right. We break it down in three main indicators: the total audience size, the activity volume, the number of posts, as well as the overall engagement. And very quickly, what we were able to identify, comparing Q2 this year to Q2 last year, we were able to see that engagement on Instagram grew by over 40% compared to last year. And by the way, I need to mention that this is looking at the top 50 APAC brands. So this is not even global data. This is for our region more specifically. And engagement on Facebook decreased by over 26%. At the same time, we can see that the audience on Facebook is still much larger than the audience on Instagram. And that's probably why Facebook is still a very good platform when it comes to generating awareness. However, in terms of engagement, we see like a decrease for brand. And that might be linked to what Gabriel mentioned before. If everyone is paying on Facebook to get awareness, the engagement might be decreasing. And talking about how where is the revenue for Facebook coming from between the two platforms? If we look at the comparison between the share of revenue between Facebook and Instagram between 2016 and 2019, we can see there's a large increase for Instagram as the share of the overall revenue, but it's still only like 1/4 of the overall spend from brands on the Facebook ecosystem, right? So it's, again, if brands are looking to generate awareness, this is not really surprising. However, we might see some change in the future.
So Max, do you think Instagram will kind of like overtake Facebook in terms of generating revenue, and would they continue to be the preferred platform for organic, as we've seen, right?
In terms of revenue, I'm not sure. We've seen that currently Instagram is still more expensive than Facebook overall. And we see that the two platforms can have a role to play in the strategy for brands, right? We see that Instagram may be more towards engagement, Facebook more towards awareness. So what I would say is that I don't know if Instagram will overtake Facebook. It might not be in the very near future, but brands should definitely think about a more diverse and a mixed strategy between the two platforms to achieve their objective.
So who should be on Facebook and who should be on Instagram? Maybe is there something that we can share?
Yeah, I think it depends also of what you wanted to do, and that's why I wanted to share that trend with our audience today. Is that we've seen one type of organic content really being leveraged by brands, especially during the pandemic, is the live video on Facebook. And live video has always been a great organic format for Facebook because usually it's more engaging, people react live, they add comments, and it's a great way for brands to engage. But during this pandemic, and we see on the right that the proportion of live video content on Facebook are really exploded. And talking with our clients, asking them like what would be the reason of this, they share that live video was a great way to stay connected with their audience when all of the physical location, event, retail space were actually shutting down. So we really see brands turning back to Facebook with organic content to generate engagement with their audience. And of course, not all industries are equal between these two platforms, right? It's also important for brands to know where are their strengths and where they should be focusing on. And that's why we wanted to look at the share of engagement by industry for the two platforms. So you can see Facebook at the top. We can see some of the leading industry on Facebook, like FMCG or finance, not even making the cut of the top engaging platform on Instagram. And that's probably due to the type of service and the type of products that they're advertising. The opposite case is also true. Like we're seeing fashion and beauty being some of the most engaging industry on Instagram. That's probably because they have a more visual product to share with their audience. So again, leveraging the two platforms for their strengths and knowing what to recommend to the brands so they can maximize their engagements.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Definitely, I think that every platform has its role to play in this case. It will be interesting to see, what you spoke about TikTok, right? Yeah. And of course, I think we can't escape from this talking about TikTok. So what do you think about TikTok as compared to this data that you're sharing here?
Well, you know what? I don't know the day goes by without getting that question. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to ask that question to our audience to see, taking out the poll, like, can you share with us what percentage of your clients are asking for strategy on TikTok? I know my answer, but I won't push any answer in your head just now. But yeah, definitely TikTok is everywhere. Yep. And we hear a lot about it, right? The truth is that currently there are not a lot of data points available on TikTok. They share some ads results with their clients, but in terms of building industry benchmark and understand what are the trends on TikTok, it's still very difficult because there's just not enough data. So exactly. A lot of clients are asking us, and a lot of clients we've seen are experimenting, but in terms of sharing some actual insight, it's still very difficult to get that from TikTok. 100%,
I totally agree with that. Right? Without the ability to look into some of this data and what are the insights that you can get, track your performance, compare performance, I guess it's very difficult to formulate that strategy on a platform like TikTok today, although it's growing significantly?
Maybe, yeah, let's have a look at the results. Let's see what the audience says.
I'll be interested to see. Let's go.
Oh, that's
okay.
Okay. I'm shocked. I know I wasn't expecting that to be okay. You guys, that's probably coming. Most of the answers says that less than 25% of brands are asking for a strategy on TikTok. I guess that's good. Then our job is done. Thank you very much. There's from us actually a lot of TikTok being the newest social media channel on the blog. A lot of people are actually asking us. So what we wanted to do is to quickly compare with the platform that brands are seeing as the main competitor, being Instagram. And it's not surprising to see like why brands are actually asking us. TikTok now has nearly 800 million users. That's getting close to the 1 billion for Instagram. TikTok also allows to tap into a younger segment, younger age group, like 16 to 24 years old being the most represented age group. So there's a few appealing factors for TikTok, and chances are that brands will look into it or have looked into it in 2020. Yeah. On the other side, we actually have Instagram, and we know that most brands are already very established on Instagram. They're comfortable with the platforms, and they already have their own community on there.
I see. Yep, of course. And I think it's also interesting, right? From my observations, I get all these requests for marketers around TikTok. And for me, I feel like this whole buzz around TikTok currently kind of mimic what happens 3 or 4 years ago, if everyone still remember, where Snapchat just came on board. It became like a huge preference for users to jump onto it. They grow significant attractions. And many were saying that could Snapchat be the rival to Instagram back then? I think this is kind of some similarity here on the buzz around TikTok, right? I guess it really depends on understanding the platform itself, and each platform has a strategy to play. And not forgetting, I think Instagram just rolled out something new lately.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I think that's where what you say around the buzz with Snapchat makes it even more relevant. Is I guess nobody is not going to be breaking news to anyone, but Instagram is rolling their new format, Instagram Reels. And what Reels are is basically TikTok on Instagram. There's no point of like trying to deep dive into the differences. They are like 15-second full screen video that a user can explore throughout like a new section on Instagram itself. It's not a separate app. And the point 4 here is actually a bit outdated. It's TikTok actually has been, Reels has been rolled out to over 50 countries now, including a large country like the US. And it's been in test for over 6 months in Brazil. And I talked to my Brazilian counterpart in Sao Paulo, and they shared that over there it exploded. Like the adoption rate of Reels is unreal, if I may. There's like the difference might be that the content usually shared on Reels look a bit more organic than what you have on TikTok. TikTok, everything is very staged, but apart from that, the format is quite similar. And actually, interesting enough, like some brands actually really started leveraging Reels. And mind that TikTok Reels has been available in the US for like 2 to 3 weeks tops, and brands are already on it, leveraging it. That's the main reason why is that some of these brands already spent time defining what they wanted to do on TikTok. And one of the great use case that we've seen for Instagram Reels is that you can just reuse whatever you did on TikTok on Reels and publish it to your Instagram audience. So for example, here you see an example from ASOS, the British online fashion retailer, and they have a strong community on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen that video before, but these 2 girls that create video wearing the same clothes with different body types to promote a positive body image. They're actually working with a lot of brands now, and TikTok is included. This content that you're seeing now is actually a TikTok content. What they did is they just took it and put it on Reels. And no editing required, because actually the format of the videos that you're putting on Reels is exactly the same than the format that you're putting on TikTok. And what they did, they just like push it to Reels, and they generated over 4.4 million views in just a few days.
Yep, that's quite amazing. Imagine this, and this is organic, right?
Yeah, currently it's all organic content, right? Organic engagement. So definitely something that brands can capitalize on. Another example, so challenges. So challenges have taken over TikTok. We've seen a lot of challenges. People starting their own challenges with like a specific hashtag, and some of them are really becoming viral. Sephora is a well-known brand on TikTok. They have a really strong followers, and one of their challenges, the Sephora challenge, had over like 26 million views on TikTok. So when they jumped onto Reels, they collaborated with a male makeup influencer, Ryan B. Porter, to create their second reel on Instagram. He created a challenge for the Sephora audience where basically they had to like select random colors in a makeup panel to create their own look, right? And that reel generated 1.9 million views in just one video. So again, really strong engagement for using a strategy that has been tested and proven on TikTok. Another thing that we are seeing is Reels can be quite beneficial especially for media companies. So companies that have longer form content and they want to create some sneak peeks of their paid content actually. And we've seen Netflix and Amazon Prime already leveraging Reels to promote their show, right? They just include some snippets within Reels of their actual content. They appear in the full screen on the user mobile, and they can use that to promote their latest show or TV series. So all in all, Reels is very new, but because brands already have the community on Instagram, and because they went through that thought process of thinking how to leverage TikTok, and because Reels is quite similar, we're seeing a really, really fast adoption for Instagram Reels.
Definitely, yeah. I guess this is where it gets exciting towards the end of the year, where lots of campaigns will be coming up, on, and then how brands could actually start to leverage Reel, right? Would be one areas that I guess you got creative people should focus on, right?
Yeah.
We see some questions coming in at this point. Maybe we'll want to take a question or two in regards to the topic that we just talked about on TikTok.
Yeah, wait, sorry, let me have a look quickly.
Max. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to put it into the Q&A sections or the comment sections, right? Or if you have comments and feedback, do share with us as well, because we really want to have this exchange of dialogue and understand from your perspective, from the agency perspective, what do you see when you are working with your clients as well?
Yeah, I can take one question now because I find it quite interesting. Like, do we have any organic performance on what challenges work the best? And the short answer is, unfortunately, we don't, because from the organic part, there's no way to aggregate all of the TikTok's data yet. And that might be one of the reasons why brands are hesitant to jump on the platform, because there's no proven, at least for organic, there's no proven use case that they can refer to when creating their own strategy. So that's why I'm also very excited about Reels, because we'll be able to get a lot more data and start to analyze if that format is actually working for brands. I don't know. I try to look. I don't know when it's coming to Singapore. If you guys also probably looking into it. So if you found a date, do share it with me. I'm excited to see that. But I couldn't really see when it was going to be available for us. But I'm expecting to be quite soon.
But I guess one of the earlier market that actually got access to it is Australia.
Yeah.
Definitely Australia, is really having the access of Reels. So in that sense, I guess some of the Australian brand might really be starting to take advantage of the new format.
Yeah, definitely. We talked a lot about organic engagement, and that's something I wanted us to dive into as well. Is that I've seen brands asking us more about community engagement and doing community management to really engage with their audience. Is that also something that you've been saying, Gabriel, and you can share with us?
Yes, 100%. Right. This topic really holds dear to me, because I have been always advocating about brands should always hold community engagement and management with their community, right, to build out this affinity with your audiences on social media. And that's the purpose of social media. It's supposed to be a two-way communications. I guess marketers should try to avoid treating social media as just one-way traffic of pushing content towards the audience. But what audience wants is really to have interactions. And of course, we have seen some development around this area since the very day of how community management is being leveraged as brands and marketers. So actually, before sharing some of these trends that we noticed, right, what is happening, I would also like to take this time to have a quick poll. So do you guys actually also think that community engagement and management could be the new normal for brands going forward for the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's true, right? I've been hearing a lot more from our clients. They are looking for new ways to engage, especially engage organically with their audience, right? And then community management is something that we talked a lot about because they want to be able to see what's being said on their social media channels at scale and try to answer and have as many of these meaningful conversations as possible. So
that's right. I guess over the years, technology have evolved, leveraging how brands or marketers or even consumers are leveraging social have evolved significantly in the 3-4 years, right? Build up. So I guess today, community management and engagement is not just about responding to your community or when they have a complaint or treat it as a customer care channel. I guess there's a lot more other use case which I'm going to share one later on, to help you understand how can you really leverage your community to understand more about their preference around your product, your brands, their perception about your brands, right? So do we have the poll results in? Let's take a look.
Okay, so
here we go. Wow, okay, 71%. Yes, brands should always engage with their audience. Cool, very cool, right?
Yeah.
This is really what I really love seeing, right? Is that we as marketers, we should really try to advocate for the right kind of engagements. There should be a value exchange between brands and consumers on social, so that the overall social media platforms really becomes a value add to every one of us, regardless we are standing on which side of the story. So let's take a look at what are some of the interesting trends that we notice internally within social bakers while we are working with our client. So here we go, this chart here, a very interesting one, which myself and Matt, we were looking at it, we were really surprised as well in terms of the significant uplift and jump in terms of adoption by brands on community. So basically, this is a chart that shows how our clients are using the community module within the social baker suite, how active they are leveraging community module. And we can see that over the year, there's a slow increment, but it's a very slow increment, right? So,
yeah.
But from the point you see here in the chart, right, which is from late May or June, early June onwards, which is exactly also where a lot of the countries are coming out of the lockdown, right? And there's a significant jump. In fact, the jump is so significant that it's almost more than 100 to 150% jump in terms of the adoption. So we are seeing a lot of our clients and brands jumping into community management and leverage it as another avenue to grow this kind of organic interactions with brands. And what are the value adds that you can expect when you're actually working on community management besides being able to build that two-way communications with them? I really like to go deeper here. So you can see here, right? We talked about earlier on. We talked a little bit about organic and paid. So over the years or so, I have mentioned, right? Organic still exists. It's about how you go about with a strategy to build up your organic performance. And over the years, based on data, we have observed many times that actually more community engagement equal to more organic growth. And this is no-brainer, right? Because it's part of the interactions when someone commented on your post. And when you guys reply, you drive more interactions that actually leads to more reach as well. So, and this is the reason why I said that we shouldn't be just using community management as what we have done over the years, just as another avenue for customer care, as well as to address just on complaints itself or crisis management. But I guess a lot of brands are starting to leverage community management to understand their audience, to learn about their audience, right? And get key consumers or audience insights through community that can help them to drive their strategy and content creations as well. And of course, this leads to a new term here, which we call it the actionable listening. Everyone is familiar with listening, I guess, with what listening can do. But there's another, I think there's a split now in terms of what listening means, which I want to give you guys a quick introduction to what is actionable listening. So from listening, we know that it's really for brands to monitor about digital conversations, determine what people are talking about your brands, about your service, about your product, right? And this is usually conducted using a proper listening solution that does deep listening into the earned space. But what we are saying is that brands are also starting to work on their own and their paid data to, in a way that it works like a listening and trying to be able to action upon it very quickly. And this year we are talking about brands listening to all the comments, the DMs that's coming in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And from there, you'll be able to categorize all these conversations into different category by keywords, and then ultimately be able to identify trends and what exactly consumer comes to your social platform for. What do they really want to tell you about your service, about your product, about your brand? And then this is where you branch out into two areas. One is consumer inquiries, where you can drive engagement, which is the common play. And next is also about getting audience intelligence, right? So once you're able to gather this data, structure it right, and be able to identify trends and insights, this actually helps you to lead into two improvement potentially, which we see a lot of my clients are already starting to do. One is to drive your product innovation based on feedback from consumers. The other one, and more important, is to link back to your content creations. You create more of the content that your consumer wants to listen into.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because it seems quite obvious that you can use social media to listen to what the audience has to say. But I think at some point, brands got overwhelmed by the amount of incoming queries, and they kind of like only handle like crisis or customer service issues, and forgot to actually listen to the audience to see what they wanted to say. Yeah. So I think that's quite an interesting trend that we're seeing, that brands are coming back to community management to generate engagement, not just to avoid like a bad buzz on social media.
Exactly. I guess the evolutions of technology also helps today, right? On how a solution can help you to actually manage this huge volume of data, and structure it in a way to present you with insights that you can act on. So I want to take you guys through a great examples that one of our clients that we work with, right? So going to the next slide here, right? We are looking into the body shop from Indonesia. They have a very successful approach towards community engagement and community management. And this is where they actually leverage community engagement beyond just having this dialogue with their audience, but to really harness these insights from them. So they first do so by asking questions in their content. So they publish content, they don't just publish content about their products, they actually ask questions. They ask questions about, do you like this? Do you like that? What do you think about? If you associate yourself with Body Shop, what do you think yourself as in terms of product? And by doing so, they're actually trying to get people to engage with them. And of course, when people start to point in terms of comments or DMs, they actively engage with these people, responding to these audiences to ensure that their voice are heard, they are getting the right engagement and feedback. And ultimately listen to these comments and feedback, right, that the consumers are telling them on their social channel, and be able to leverage this and to think about what exactly the audience are that they're engaging on social, and drive content that's relevant to these audiences and try to build on top of the affinity they already have with the consumers. And of course, this is just a very simplified sharing here. We actually did a similar webinar with Body Shop Indonesia last month, which again, a lot of people have attended. They learn about how an organic organizations and product drive social engagement organically. So if you are interested, to learn more about this approach by the Body Shop, there's a lot more detail that's shared by the Body Shop Indonesia. So in the next slide here, you can actually go to our YouTube channel, watch this video and this webinar again on our YouTube. It's open, it's an open video on YouTube, right?
Cool. Yeah. Another trend that we wanted to share. This is a bit further away from social media, but is podcasts. So we've been hearing. We've been hearing about podcasts a lot, and I find it quite interesting because we've seen a lot more people talking about podcasts. I know my friends can't stop talking about podcasts. I might have to start listening to a lot more podcasts soon as well. And we are seeing this as a new trend that brands might be able to capitalize on. So I tried to look for more Asia-specific numbers. I couldn't find yet. Maybe it's still a bit new for our region, or maybe I just couldn't find them. But what we're seeing is that it's definitely an upcoming trend in some of the countries in the West. We're seeing, for example, Canada, US have like 37% of adults actively listening to podcasts. So definitely it's a new type of format that people are engaging with. Obviously, it's quite different because you can't share any visual. It's just about listening. And we're seeing a lot more people taking interest in that. And actually, it's not just people, as in consumers. Brands have taken notice, and they're actually starting to talk about podcasts with their audience. And it's probably actually the global pandemic and the global lockdowns probably pushed that trend a little bit faster, because people are staying at home. They're looking for new type of content to consume, like just like staying at home, or I don't know, like doing dishes, cooking and listening. They want to listen to some contents, being books, being interviews. And we've seen a number of brands posting about podcasts really increase since the beginning of 2020. And in our field, right, the marketing and social media marketing field, there's a lot of marketing podcasts you can already listen to. So we did a selection of our favorite marketing podcasts that you can check out. So definitely, we recommend that you have a look. But the one I would recommend to check out first is actually Social Baker's own podcast. We call it Social Cast, and you can very easily access to it by using this Spotify barcode. If you go in your Spotify app, you go to the search, there's a camera icon, and then you can scan this. That will take you directly to Social Baker's podcast. We share a lot on this. We share some interview, we share some insights, interview with our customers, and a lot of the new trends and tips around social media. So I do recommend you check it out. But it's not only marketing brands, because the connection is not that far away. Marketing professional, we do a lot of interview, we share some tips, we share some insights, but we've seen some of the more mainstream brands actually diving into podcasts. And here are just some examples that we have selected, but I looked a bit more into some of this. So the first one I want to talk about is Lip Stories. So Lip Stories is a podcast by Sephora, where they share interviews with influential female leaders across the world. Another one is Gucci Garden. Gucci Garden is actually a Gucci exhibition that is happening in Italy. Obviously, not many people can visit the exhibition right now. So what they did is that they actually giving a tour and an audio commentary of the exhibition shared by some artist or personality of their visits of the event. So it's quite innovative. It's actually quite interesting. Another one that I found quite timely as well is the one from eBay, Open for Business, when they share some tips on how to set up a successful small and medium-sized business. So I find it quite interesting. I'm sure that a lot of people are interested of what these brands are sharing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you share this. I haven't been a huge fan of podcasts, but I really have a lot of friends who are into it as well. And when you're sharing, what really caught me is, the Gucci Garden that you just mentioned. I remember years back when Instagram first started their Instagram's stories. Fashion, industry or fashion brands are the very first to leverage Instagram as well as Facebook Live to broadcast behind the stage, stories that tell people about what is happening behind the stage during fashion show. And it's very difficult to relate how a fashion brand could leverage podcasts. But when you talk about the Gucci Garden, this is the interesting way, right? Because people really can't visit the stores and everything. Of course, fashion is very visual, but to be able to narrate it is another way that you connect with consumers.
Yeah. What I find interesting is that brands are actually jumping into that trend, and they really have to rethink the way they're telling their stories, not through their logo, not through their like visuals or product, but like through the story they're telling. So I do find it quite interesting, and that's definitely a trend to watch out for. All right, so we're coming out at towards the end of our presentation. I just want to take a few minutes to recap what we've been through. So first of all, we've seen that brands are prioritizing meaningful content that leads to organic engagement. And that's really linking to what we've seen brands diving into understanding what their audience wants, what kind of content works, to really focus on this and provide relevant content to their relevant audience. Instagram Reels could be a game changer, but the main difference between TikTok and Instagram is currently their audience size, right? TikTok appealed to a much younger audience, which if this audience was to adopt Reels as well, Reel could definitely be a game changer for the industry. Digital marketing is extremely resilient to market change. So as we've seen with the trend in ads, right? It dropped, but actually picked up again very quickly after. So I think the digital marketers will have to adapt to this new situation. And what Gabriel shared, finding a balance between organic and paid engagement is really crucial moving forward. And finally, like Gabriel shared as well, that brands are going back to community management as a way not just to answer to issues or customer queries, but actually to actively engage with their audience. And we've seen that engaging with your community will actually help increase organic engagement. So that really could help brands moving forwards.
Yeah. Of course, these are some of the key observations that we have shared, and these are really based on some of the insights that we have shared earlier on, and the way how we have worked with our clients. And of course, for you guys at the agencies side, right, you guys work with a lot more different diverse portfolio of different brands. So it'd be good, to really understand from the point of view. So if you would share also on your perspective on some of the pointers that we have talked about. But more importantly, right, we hope some of these insights does give you the confidence and and the kind of right approach to strategize. What should be the approach that brands and clients that you're servicing can take throughout the rest of 2020 to really ride out the year in a positive note.
Cool. And some of the insights that we share today are actually part of a report that we published for Q2. So the link is in the slides that we'll be sharing after the session. So you will be able to check out and download the report for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this sharing of the insights that we have prepared for you today. We're now going to look into, I see a lot of questions that came in. So maybe we can have a look at what is in there and maybe pick a few questions. We still have about like 6-7 minutes to look into it. It's okay, Gabriel, I got it here.
Let's go through some of these questions.
Okay, question from Farrell. Question on TikTok for B2B. What do we think, yes or no? And like what the use case could it be for? I'm going to say, again, that brings it back to who is the target audience that you're trying to reach, right? As we saw, TikTok, majority of the audience is between 16 and 24. So if you're like into B2B and these people could potentially be customers for you, then maybe. But generally, I would say that if you're targeting people to buy a SaaS software, for example, okay, in our case, we are on social media, so maybe we'll look into TikTok. But if you're targeting people to buy a SaaS tool, for example, TikTok might not be the best channel to go after. But again, we don't have a lot of data points. This might evolve in the upcoming months or year.
Yeah, actually on that, right, I guess when I was also over the past months speaking with marketers regarding interest on TikTok, right, I think most of the interest actually came from brands who are doing more of B2C rather than B2B in this case. I guess, Farrell, definitely would be good to have these conversations continuously, going forward. If you guys are trying to approach it that way, what kind of approach are you taking on? And do stay to the end, right, because I have something prepared for you as well, Farrell.
Another question, Facebook versus Instagram engagement and yeah, Giovanna, you have a very good eye. I noticed that when I present the slide. Truth is, I stole that slide from our global report and I changed the data to reflect for APAC, so I forgot to change the legend. So yeah, okay. My bad, but the data is definitely looking APAC. And we, that's actually a good segue to say that we have a lot of data points for APAC only and for some of the local markets as well. And we really try to bring these insights to the brand, and that's what we wanted to share with you today. But definitely that's something that we help brands look into to identify some trends. So Gabriel has been sharing the top 10 most engaging brands across the different countries in Asia. So if you haven't seen it, go check out, connect with him on LinkedIn. He'll be happy to connect with you and check out this content. It's actually quite interesting. Another question.
So we're waiting for Max to identify the next questions. Where I saw one from the comment section where Faisal is actually talking about TikTok is more for fun and for awareness, but it's very different to speak about conversion. You're 100% right here, right? And we can also see that how Facebook and Instagram have evolved so quickly and significantly in the past few months or this year alone to support e-commerces, to support digital businesses, right? Where you can easily shop. So I guess some of you might have really experienced that and really utilize that as either as a consumer or as a marketer. They make purchasing so easy in Instagram, where you can easily just tag a product. Consumer can just click to the website, to the e-commerce site, or even online just to buy immediately with a few clicks. Which I guess this is something still missing from TikTok, which is very difficult to visualize. How can you monetize or drive conversion through TikTok, right? But it definitely is a great brand awareness driver with a lot of fun for sure. We can see that during the lockdown period, we just need some positive and fun content, which I'm no surprise that many people turn to TikTok. I can also see some of the guys in our office that turned to TikTok during the lockdown period, right? And were sharing really fun videos on TikTok as well.
Yeah, I see another question that is quite interesting, and we definitely saw the trend as well. So the question is like, given that people are at home more, like, has it been an increased engagement in long form content such as IGTV, YouTube, live format, etc.? Yeah, definitely. In terms of the video content, we've seen a lot more adoption. The number of we didn't share it today, but video views across the platform also increased drastically for brands, and people are looking for that type of content more. Maybe they have more time, or maybe they can listen with the sound on because they're at home. I'm not too sure, but definitely we've seen an increase from brands. IGTV, we have a bit less data again, but that's also why I'm really looking forward to see how Reels is going to perform in our region. Maybe we have time for like one more question. One more question.
And of course, if we won't manage to get to your question you're doing this time, right? Well, we will definitely be connecting with you, right, based on the questions and provide some answers to these questions that you have asked in the question and answer section. And like Max said earlier on, we don't stop there. Let's get connected on LinkedIn. Feel free to ping us your questions. If you have a chance to download the report and there's other data point that interests you, we would like to actually have some exchange of pointers. We're also more than welcome to actually do this with you guys over the LinkedIn or whichever communication channels.
Yeah, another like a question more specifically around TikTok, and we've seen that. Do we see like entertainment and content brands like Netflix using TikTok as a platform already? So yeah, definitely the like brands like Netflix leveraging, as I mentioned, they are leveraging the same type of format as they do on Reels, promoting their shows. We've seen also from some other brands in the music industry, for example, Universal Music, they try to leverage TikTok quite a lot. They have they of course have a huge pool of artists that are creating their own content. They create content around their artists. They create challenges. So I think there's a lot, actually, I would say there's a lot to do for a media and entertainment brand on TikTok. And one thing I would recommend looking into are challenges. We've seen a lot of people creating challenges around music, but also around like maybe like TV shows. So I would say that the media and entertainment industry has potentially a lot to leverage on TikTok and by the associations to Instagram Reels as well.
Cool. Of course. Yep.
Cool. All right. I think that's all time for today. Thanks everyone for joining. We are actually right on time. You can connect with us. We'll be sending the recording, and I think Gabriel has something to say to close this session.
Yeah, thanks everyone for the session, right? And I would like to thank Gabriel for your suggestions that we should end with a fireworks. Here you go. This is the slide I prepared for you. The rest is done by Max. Thanks, Max, for all the insights as well. And thank you for your time for today.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.